Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our poll. Just give me a moment and we're going to get started. So we'll wait a couple minutes for others to come in. We see that attendees are still coming in, and we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to join in before we begin. So we'll wait a couple minutes. How's everyone doing this evening? I hope everyone had a good weekend. It's been kind of hot, probably to say the least. See, we still have attendees coming in. It looks like we have a few more who are coming in, so welcome as you come on board, as you come in to tonight's presentation. Okay. So welcome everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. I see that you all are sending greetings this evening. So hello to everyone who sent a greeting to let us know that you are here. Hello, good evening, good afternoon. And some of you are saying that you are well, that you had a good weekend. So we're going to get started. So welcome to this evening's presentation of the Early Learning Coalition's ongoing training, Professional Development Matters, Building a Better Workforce in Early Childhood Education. Your presenters this evening are Wendy Gordon and Gordia Ross.
Hi, everyone. This is Gordia. How are you? Welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's great having you. We hope that you will enjoy and learn from what we are presenting to you. Welcome.
Thank you, Gordia. So my name is Wendy Gordon, and I am a quality and education coaching specialist with the ELC Broward. A little about myself. I hold a master's in psychology. I'm a certified MMCI trainer, which stands for Making the Most of Classroom Interactions, and an observer in class pre-K, toddler, and infant. And I'm also a Teachstone affiliate trainer, meaning that I'm able to train others to become class observers. So that's a lot of fun for me to do. I have over 20 plus years experience in early childhood education and development, including a pre-K ESE and K through third certification. So I've been at this a while now and feel somewhat skilled at it. Now, although my love for early education is birth through 5, the early years, my area of expertise is mostly concentrated in the area of birth to 2-year-olds. I am very partial to that group. And so, having learned that about myself, my personal motto is children are my business. So I make it my business to know about the business of children. Personally, I have 3 adult children, and I'm a grandmother of 3. A teenager, she's 14 years old, and she has 12-year-old fraternal twin siblings, a girl and a boy. And my hobbies include traveling, wine tasting, exploring nature. Love nature, especially in my own backyard, because plenty of opportunities for nature to present itself. And because of COVID-19, I've become somewhat of a novice chef who has now mastered the art of making the best fajitas. And so whenever we're able to go back out and have some sense of normalcy about us, I will no longer have to pay for fajitas in a restaurant because now I know how to make them myself. So that's a little about me.
And so a little bit about me. I'm Gordia Ross. I am a quality and education coaching specialist at the ELC. As many of you know, you've heard my name. I've been here for a little while. I am also a certified MMCI coach, as well as a certified infant and toddler class observer through Teachstone. So we're out in the field. We're coming to you. Well, we will be coming back at some stage, but we have come to you to do our observations and to do our classes and coaching with you. I enjoy learning, and I hope to be able to share that love of learning with others. 30 years ago, I wanted to make an impact on the lives of children and families, and that remains true today. Personally, I have a 21-year-old son and a 5-year-old Poochie named Kiwi. I love to read, watch movies at home, and relax and relax or stay very close to a beach in Jamaica. Welcome.
So now that we've gotten our introductions out of the way and you've gotten to see who your trainer presenters are for the evening, we're just going to take a moment and review some housekeeping rules that we have in place as we move through tonight's webinar. We've taken a screenshot, an example of the attendee interface, and this is the page that comes up when you sign into the GoToWebinar. So to the right of your screen, you should see something that looks like this on your own computer desktop. It will be in the upper right corner. When you signed in, you were told that you're listening in using your computer's speaker system by default. If you would prefer to join us over the phone, just select telephone in the audio pane and the dial-in information will be displayed. You will also have opportunity to submit text questions to the presenters by typing your questions in the chat box at any time, and that's on the bottom of the control panel, excuse me. You may send questions in at any time during tonight's presentation, and we will collect these questions and field those questions and address them during the Q&A session throughout if we need to, and also at the end of this evening's presentation. So again, if you look to the the upper right corner of your screen, you will see the audio pane that allows you to click in and join into the webinar. Okay. Additionally, there is a section for questions, excuse me. If you will look down on your pane, you will see the tab that says questions. This pane allows you to submit text questions and comments using the chat box feature on the panel. Make sure when you send your questions that you send your questions to all so that we can see those questions and field them and then answer them accordingly. As a note, tonight's presentation is being recorded and will be provided within 48 hours, okay? So that's the housekeeping for questions and for how to access your control panel. Okay? And we have one other housekeeping note. There is a handout icon on your toolbar. You can tap that icon, then select the file to download. If you will take a look at the example there, you'll see handouts. It tells you how many handouts are there. When you click down on it, the drop box will come down and tell you which files are in there. They are in PDF forms. Once you click on them, those files will download automatically. Okay? And if you have any questions, again, please use your chat feature or the questions features that we've gone over earlier. Thank you. So for tonight, attendance and credits, all the trainings that were offered or being offered here in the month of June are for in-service hours only. If you have any questions about that, we ask that you refer to the ELC website at www.elcbroward.org for information about other possible stipend opportunities. Your training certificate will be emailed at least 24 hours after we finish to the email address you entered in your registration. So make sure that you entered a valid email so that your training certificate can be delivered to that email address. In order to be marked as attended, you must log in on the computer or download the GoToWebinar app on your phone. So you have to log in either on your laptop or PC or download the app on your phone. Just calling in does not register attendance, and you will not receive a certificate or be marked as attended. So although you're able to call in and listen in, you will not receive a certificate and credit for attending. If you can't see the screen, we can't see you. And we know sometimes things happen, but only if you want to use the, if you do not want to use your computer audio. Here in the box, it tells you how to use your phone. You can select use telephone after joining the webinar and call in using the numbers that are listed below, okay? So our agenda for tonight, as we prepare for our Professional Development Matters presentation, this is what our evening will flow like. We've done our introductions. You've been introduced to myself, Wendy Gordon, and my co-facilitator, Gordia Ross. We're going through the agenda. We're going to look at virtual community agreements. We're going to do a small activity, the blob tree, that's going to get us ready to open ourselves up for tonight's presentation. We're going to discuss our goals and objectives, the learning goals and objectives for this webinar. There are a few videos that we will be watching, but this is one that we will want to highlight. It's called Know Your Why by Michael Jr. We'll be exploring and embracing the owner-director's role in facilitating professional development in your programs. And then at the end, we'll have questions, comments as we wrap up, okay? So that's what our evening is structured to look like. Virtual agreements. If you've taken trainings face-to-face at any time during our trainings here with the Early Learning Coalition, you may have sat in a training where we had what we call community agreements. And those are agreements where we typically ask the audience or participants to come up with agreements that we will hold in place for our time of meeting. Well, now that we're doing our trainings virtually, we said, let's see if we can do some virtual community agreements. Myself and my colleagues, we've also been taking professional development trainings since this whole thing started, and we started having to learn this way. And I've come across some trainings where virtual community agreements were presented, and I thought that that would be a good way to get us prepared and establish understandings in terms of goals and objectives. So I'll ask that you bear with myself and Ms. Gordia as we share our virtual community agreements with you, and hope that they are something that you will at least allow yourself to be open to receive. So the first agreement is allow yourself the luxury of doing just one thing. Challenge what you know. So think about what you know, what you already know, and begin to challenge it as we present our content this evening. We ask that you agree to stay solution-oriented and open to learning at least one new thing, but also be flexible with this virtual and remote learning ideas and practices, because this is a whole new thing for a way of learning for all of us. And in the end, just sit back and enjoy the ride and be open to the new possibilities of learning one new thing. Okay, so these are our virtual community agreements. You can be open to all of them, one of them, however many you choose, but we do ask you to just invite you to open yourself to just one of these things tonight, okay? So we have this activity here, and this is going to help us reflect on our current state, how you're feeling right now about all of the professional development webinars that you've taken over these past few months, that you're going to continue to take as we move through our current situation. So just for a moment, look at what we call the blob tree. Pick a numbered person on the tree that's illustrated here on the screen, and find one that best illustrates how you feel right now as it relates to participating in professional development. Take a moment to think about your choice, and if you choose to share, use the chat box to share why you picked the number that you did. So we'll give you a couple minutes to just study it. And reflect on the knowledge that you already have, how you're going to build on that knowledge as we move throughout this session. Okay. So it looks like we're getting some responses, and I'll share a few of the responses that have come through. So thank you for those who are sharing. Someone chose number 2 because they are always looking for a way to help others out. So number 2 is the blob person that's supporting number 3 as they're going up the tree. So this participant, thank you for sharing that, says they feel like number 2. Number 15, because I cleared almost all my doubts and learned more than I thought. Okay. So number 15, excuse me, is sitting up there feeling somewhat accomplished. Some doubt has been erased. Let's see what else is being shared. Number 9, I'm fairly new to the childcare profession, and I know there is knowledge to learn and room for growth. That's a great one. Thank you for sharing that. Number 9. Okay. And we'll look at a couple more responses and we'll move on. Thank you so much for sharing and participating in this activity. Let's see, we have also number 11 and 12. Someone say they feel like both of them because they seem to be working together. That's a great observation. That's a great observation. 11 and 12. They do seem like they're collaborating, possibly, you know, discussing strategies to use together. And we'll just look at one more and we'll move on. And someone said number 4 seems to look pretty positive. I have enjoyed learning. Many of the webinars have so much good information and I have gained so much knowledge. Thank you for sharing. So this blob tree activity was just so that you can check in with yourself, check in with your feelings about all the PD that you've taken up until this point, and we are truly grateful that you joined us this evening. But the blob tree is just here to just illustrate that, because sometimes you don't know, you may feel a bit overwhelmed, you know, and don't know if you could take one more webinar training or one more information session. But you all gave some really good reasons as to why you chose the numbered person that you chose. Okay, so thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this activity. It was fun for me reading your responses. So now we're going to look at our goals and objectives for this evening. We're going to define professional development in early childhood settings, because there is a definition for professional development, and we're going to look at how it is defined in early childhood settings. We'll discuss the importance to develop a why for your learning, not so much the what, but the why. We'll identify the needs of those in your organization who you want to receive professional development, in addition to the professional development that you want to receive. So this presentation will help you hone that skill of seeing what type of professional development that you would like to offer to your staff or for yourself, and how you can support that. Develop a vision for the professional development and support your staff to pursue professional development opportunities. So that's our goals and objectives for this evening's presentation. We hope that we meet and exceed each one of them, and we hope that you get the most out of our presentation this evening. Okay. So now we're going to take a poll just to get a feel of who is among us. So the poll is, what is your role in your primary program? So I'm going to open the poll for you to select. So you can choose your primary role. That is, what is the main role that you function in your program or center? So take a moment to submit. And if you're unable to hit the submit button, you may need to minimize your screen so that you're able to select and submit. Okay. We're over halfway voted. Okay, we'll give it a few more seconds. See. Okay. So it looks like we may be, see if everyone has voted. We'll give it a couple more seconds, maybe 10 more seconds for you to get your response in. Okay, so we're going to close the poll and see our results. So it looks like, pull up the results so everyone can see. Okay. Oh, it's giving me an issue. One moment, I apologize. Some reason it's not giving me the results.
Put it back up and I will share the results for you.
Okay. Thank you.
So we're showing that the majority of our audience today are teachers, which is great. We have a few owners. So we have 5% of our audience is teachers. You took it back down.
Oh, excuse me. 1 second. Okay, there you go.
Okay, thank you. So we have another 22% directors, 64% of teachers, and we have 9 others. So we will be talking to all of you. We're hoping that as we move forward, you know, this will be beneficial for everyone who's present. So thank you so very much for participating in our poll.
Thank you. And I apologize that I was unable to get the poll results to show up the way that we wanted it to show.
It's showing.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's showing. Okay.
It's great. That's fine. They're seeing who is present.
Okay.
So as we get into what we would call the meat of our training, we want to talk a little bit about professional development. That's why we are here today, to talk about what professional development is, what it is that the state, because we're going to look at what the Office of Early Learning is looking for teachers and directors to do, but we are looking at our directors to drive the process of professional development for the staff that they work with. So one of the definitions that we looked at, which we thought was just encompassed everything for us, is that professional development in early childhood programs refers to experiences that promote education, training, and development opportunities for early childhood practitioners. So you're here, you're participating tonight in this webinar. That is a part of your of professional growth and development. We also, you know, as I said, we're incorporating both. So OEL says that professional development incorporates the core knowledge, qualifications and credentials, quality assurance, and access and outreach. So for our teachers, we are looking for them to understand what early childhood development is. Most of our trainings for the past couple of months, for the past several months, have been focused on what is the core knowledge. We've used class as our foundation in which we work, and we will continue to do that as it relates to teachers in working with young children. Changes that may have to occur based on the fact that we are doing a lot of things virtually, or based on the fact that we are now within certain guidelines that we have to practice. However, we have to make sure that as teachers and staff within the center, that there is growth and development in order to meet the needs of the children and families, and to be able to adjust to the changes that is occurring and has been occurring and will continue to occur until we are in a more settled state. Next slide. So what are the goals of professional development? The intention is to develop awareness of new teaching approaches or content. Many times teachers are out, you know, they come to trainings and I'm sure they're saying, okay, we have, you know, we've done this, why are we doing this again? But we are introducing new ideas, different ways of doing things. Building knowledge of content and pedagogy. So as you're here, and we talked about in our virtual community agreement when we started, it's about even learning one thing. If it's one new thing that you get from the trainings, it's new knowledge. It is something that you can build on. It's new content to use when you get back into the classroom, or just in your everyday learning and growing. Translating new knowledge into teaching. That's another one of professional development for teachers. Once you learn something, how are you going to take that back into the classroom? One of the things that I've said, and in my short little statement about myself, I talk a lot about wanting to learn new things. And so taking something as simple as being able to, one of the things that I started doing while we've been home these past couple of months is that I planted a tomato tree on my patio. And for me, I use that to think that this is something else that I want to do. I want to go out and I want to bring other plants in so that I can start a garden on my patio. So for me, it's taking whatever I'm learning today and trying to put it towards something else. And practicing teaching. Whenever you get new ideas, how do you translate it? How do you take it and say, this is what I'm going to do with this, how I'm going to pass this on to my children when I get back in the classroom? Again, whether it's you're back in the classroom now, but what are you going to do with the information that you take from tonight? Are you going to be able to implement it tomorrow? Or are you going to process it so that you can say, I can't do it tomorrow, but a month down the line in one of the lesson plans that I'm going to be considering, this is how I'm going to translate and bring this into my new practice. And reflecting deeply on teaching and learning to assess the impact of instructional changes. These past 3 or 4 months for all of us have been different. And I think for many of us, we're always, and we have to reflect on everything that we have been doing. Whatever our practices were or are, we know that we're going to have to change. So for the coaching team at the Early Learning Coalition, we've always been in the centers on a daily basis. However, we have had to learn the technology to provide a training and guidance to the community through webinars. This is different for most of us who have never done it, but we've accepted the challenge. We've reflected on what we have done in the past, and we know that we're going to have to figure out new ways of teaching and learning. So we talk about professional development, and we talk about, the trainings, we talk about workshops, we talk about technical assistance, we talk about CEUs, all of those are a part of the professional development genre, as we would say. However, what is the difference? What makes the difference? So we looked at training and we looked at professional development, and we said, let us break this down a little bit more. And what we came up with is that training is a learning process in which teachers get an opportunity to develop skill, competency, and knowledge as per their job requirement. It's operational. It teaches you how to be competent in your job. That's what training is about. So it gives the hands-on experience so that when you get in the classroom, you are able to translate it into action. It gets you competent in in the job and in your role and responsibility as a teacher. On the other hand, when we look at professional development, it's an educational process which focuses on the individual and on the overall growth. So training is the process of learning so that you are gathering skills to do your job. Then when we talk about professional development, it's a process of learning, and it's to be able to move from one place to the next. It's not keeping you bottled in to a jar that, or held up in a jar that you can't do something else. A lot of us, we have one skill, and we don't know what to do. We can just do that one job. But when you talk about professional development, it's moving you from one place to the next. It's a process. It is strategic, and it teaches individuals how to excel beyond the required. So that's what we're talking about as we're going through this process, and as we're presenting to you today. It's wanting directors, owners to think about how they can take their teachers from just from and not just being, because we know teachers are the most important, but from just knowing what they know, but taking them to the next level, so that when if for any reason they leave your center and they go to the next, they're growing. So just like we teach young children because we want them to grow and learn and to continue to flourish throughout life, it's the same thing that we look at with professional development. How is a director helping teachers and staff within that center to grow? The professional development, it's about the abilities and being able to transfer across the jobs and industries. And it requires that individuals put more effort into how to apply the content. There's more of a commitment in professional development. Trainings, you do an hour and you're out. When you talk about professional, it's intentional. Professional development is intentional, and we want to keep that as your mindset. That when we talk about professional development, we want for teachers to grow and learn. We want for directors and owners to learn and grow. Next slide. So go ahead.
No, go ahead, Gordia.
Okay, so as you're going through the process, we're going to be doing different learning activities for you, but we want for you to keep that in mind, that when we talk about professional development, it's about how we're helping people, how we're helping each other to grow. Okay.
So we're going to take a look at our video. It's called Know Your Why by Michael Jr. It's on YouTube. And Michael Jr. is a comedian who his purpose is to inspire you to not understand what you do, but the whole why behind what it is that you do. So we're just going to take a look at this short video. It's about 4 minutes long. It's quite impactful, and Gordia and I think that it ties in to the message that we're trying to get across as we do our presentation tonight. So we're going to watch Michael Jr. Know Your Why. And if you're unable to hear the audio when it comes on, you should get a Okay, so I hope everyone enjoyed that. It was a great little break for us. But the purpose behind that is just what Michael Jr. said. Knowing your what is important, but knowing your why behind the what that you do, that's where you make the greatest impact. So I know a lot of times some, people will ask us, what is it that you do? What is that you do? And we can rattle off and spout out everything that we do, all the things that we do. Well, I'm a BPK teacher. Oh, I'm a infant toddler teacher at this school or whatever. And then people are like, well, why did you want to do that? And then you start to think about why you do what you do, why it's important for you to take care of children, the youngest of learners, and put everything into them that you want them to learn. Why is that so important? And why does that become impactful? For myself, personally speaking, when people ask me that, and once I get in a zone and really start to talk about why I do what I do, that's when I become most passionate, particularly as I stated in my bio, when I'm dealing with infants up to age 2 years old. I'm very, very passionate about that age group, those very young learners. And so sometimes when I get on my tangent somewhat or on my soapbox about it, my why is coming out. And it wasn't until as Miss Gordia and I were developing this presentation for you all that I started to understand that that's why sometimes I get all bubbly and all giddy and can just talk about it, to whoever wants to listen. And this little clip here demonstrates to me, I think it demonstrates it perfectly, that once he tapped into his why behind the fact that he's a musical instructor, he was able to demonstrate that full on, and the audience exploded because they felt his passion come through. So as we move through our presentation, continue to move through our presentation, as Gordia said earlier, just reflect on what you do, but also reflect on the why behind what it is that we do. So I hope you all enjoyed that video. The YouTube link is there if you want to copy it down. If not, you can just write it down. But it's Know Your Why by Michael Jr., the comedian who inspires you to your purpose. Okay. Professional development. What is it? So many descriptive words. If you look at our word cloud, you'll see some other adjectives, some other words used by professionals in any profession. When they think professional development, they think, oh, growing, learning, it's ongoing, it's throughout, it's only for students, it's only for teachers. How am I impacted? Oh, it's to gain new knowledge. Oh, it's to gain new experience, to be active. All of these wonderful other words that describe what professional development is. So what I want you to do is just for about 30 seconds or so, look and find a word that jumps out at you. Or if you have another word that describes what professional development for you, if you will share that with us in our chat, because you may have a word that's not here, but it's professional development for you. And for those of us who are looking at it, find a word that kind of pops out to you that speaks, oh yeah, when I hear professional development, that's what it speaks to me. So just take a few seconds to look at that. And like I said, if you want to share in the chat box, please feel free to do so. But this is our professional development word cloud. I see growth, committed, teachers, helping others, learning every day, ongoing learning and growth. Thank you for your responses. Stimulating, yes. Expand to commit. Experience knowledge. growth. I always feel like I've grown with my teaching, improvement, job performance, quality, skills, commitment, impacted. Thank you, thank you. All of this speaks to professional development and growth. And as Gordia reminded us in the other video, slide, that it's about overall growth of an individual, and it takes commitment. That's the difference between training and professional development. Specialized skills, improvement, impact, growing with my course, excellence, increased duties and responsibilities. That's a big one. That's a big one, yes. Diligent, being impartial. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing. Job assignments, yes. So when you look at professional development and you reflect on your why and how that enhances your what, be mindful and remind yourself of what it means for you. Remember the overall growth of an individual, professional development. Thank you for sharing.
Those are great responses.
Okay. So we're going to take another poll. This one is a quick one. And what we want you to do is just for a moment, think about when you first entered the profession. And we're going to ask you a question. When you were a first-year teacher, then maybe 5 years later, had much changed about your enthusiasm about being in the profession. Now you're 10 years in, and then you're 15 or more years in. So we're going to ask you to think about that. We're going to show you a quick slide, and then we are going to ask you, we're going to come back to the poll, and we want you to be as truthful as you can be as you respond, okay? So take a look. I can hear the giggles, I can hear the laughter. Yes, yes, I hear it. I hear it. So now we're gonna go to our poll, and we want you to consider which face are you bringing to today's professional development. Do you have the enthusiasm of that first-year teacher? Do you have that look when you're 5 years in and it's time to continue professional development? You're 10 years in, has a lot of that just waned? And if you're 15 years and up in the profession, are you waiting for that drop to come when you can say, oh, I'm out of here. I'll leave these children to the newbies who don't know any better. So let's see. Okay. Oh, I'm so excited about these responses that are coming through. Yes. First year teacher enthusiasm, 5 years. 10 years in, 15 years and up. Let's see. We'll give you a couple more seconds to give everyone an opportunity to submit their response. About 10 more seconds. Okay, looks like everyone has voted. So I'm going to close the poll and share the results. Did the results come, Gordia?
They went back down.
Oh, they went down. Okay. I'll share them with you.
Okay, so we have 36% of our audience that are first-year teachers that is enthusiastic and they have that smile on their face, eager to learn. Those 5-year-ins teachers that are, yeah, this again, okay. The 10 years in is like, oh, what are they talking about? Really? And the 15-year and up, we have 22%. And those are the ones that saying, what is this? So we can show the faces again. We were really tickled by this when we saw these faces because we're like, this is so true.
So for those of you who are first-year teachers and you still have that enthusiasm when you come to professional development, it is my hope that it stays with you throughout your career. We know there will be times when it's going to wane and you're going to say, you know what, forget this. You know, you're going to want to jump to that 15 and up, 15 years in and up and be like, I'm out of here. You know, I can't take another day of this. But when we think about our why, again, going back to our why, even on those days when it seems really hard for us to give our all to the children that come to us to learn, to be nurtured, to be taken care of, that we provide all of that good stuff to, and we reflect on our why, even being in 15 years and up, you can draw on that strength of that first year teacher and say, this is why I'm still here. This is why I came here, because I'm needed here. I love what I do. I enjoy the children and families that I am charged with taking care of and making sure that they learn. Somewhere deep down inside of us, that first year teacher still lives. She's still there. She hasn't gone anywhere. But, you know, and so when it's time to do professional development, whether it's doing it through a webinar or doing it face to face, I know I can raise my hand without a doubt and say for sure I've been all of these faces at some point in time. Gordia, what about you?
Of course. oh, definitely. I mean, I believe that everyone that is in the audience should be able, you know, can look at these faces and feel that everyone around them, even though you're not seeing each other, have been here. We've gone from our first year where many of us are at 15 years and up. Although we don't want to admit because we don't want to show that face. But yes, I've definitely been there. So we enjoy looking at this.
Too. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for sharing. And
thank you so much.
Okay, so we're going to move on. So that was just a little fun way to get us ready, open and ready to learn about our why for professional development.
And so many of you who have been in the field and have been in the state of Florida providing early care and education may have some knowledge of our core competencies. In so saying, the state has, and they haven't used it in the past, but we feel that this should be the foundation for which we continue to work. And so we're using the core competencies basically to provide you with what we feel are some of the ways that we can continue to build the profession. One of the things that has become very evident to most of us over the past 3 or 4 months is the fact that our teachers within the early care and education field are needed. Currently, I think we still have about 40%, I think we were told last week, that are still not open. And that's for many reasons. Why? Either it's because they can't afford to open at this stage, whether because they don't have enough children to be able to sustain the continuation of the business, whether providers do not feel that they are ready personally to open centers, whatever the case may be. But our centers are, not all our centers are open, but one of the things that was very evident is that we need childcare. We need our preschool program providers to be ready to take on the task as, you know, in whatever situation. One of the things we talk about childcare, we know that it's for education. We know that we're here to provide the foundation for young children so that when they leave our programs, they are ready to learn, they're ready to succeed out in the world. However, we're also aware that early care and education is a workforce issue, because if we're not here, if early care, if you guys are not there with your centers open, parents can't work. They cannot go out from 9 to 5. One of the things that I was reading a few days ago was that parents are actually trying now, because they're uncomfortable with going back out into the centers at today. It will change, I'm sure, but they're now looking to have people to come to their homes to work and to provide care within the homes for their children while they go back to work. So even when we talked, you know, remember we talked about the professional development and the difference between training and professional development. This allows individuals, if they're unable to go into the center to work, to find other means of employment. And they're able to carry it from, you know, being in a child care setting to also providing individual care. And we don't want to talk about, you know, to dwell on that, but the point is that we need to have our practitioners that are well trained and are capable and skilled and knowledgeable to continue in this field. Now, as I said before, the Office of Early Learning, a few years back, I would say maybe 8 or 9 years back, they came up with the core competences. And they have the core competences for directors, they have them for teachers, they have them for trainers. So they have core competences for people for our community, our early childhood community, to be able to continue on the path of providing services in a comprehensive way. With that said, you know, we are now looking at the professional development for practitioners and their professionalism. However, the directors play a very important role. And so there are 5 different stages within the role of professionalism for practitioners and how directors play their part in it. Step 1 is that directors have to help teachers identify early childhood education and what it is all about. They also at step 2, so we looked at this as stages and steps. So in step 2, they need to know about and uphold ethical standards and other professional guidelines. Step 3 is to engage in ongoing interactive learning to inform practice. And this is what we're talking about straight through from we started. Step 4 is to integrate knowledgeable, reflective, and critical perspectives on early childhood education. And step 5 is to engage in informed advocacy for children, families, communities, and the profession. So as we delve into this for a few minutes, and we go into step 1 and what it means to identify the early childhood field, we encourage directors, owners to make sure that they have staff follow a professional development plan. Not just, even though they go to individual trainings, but it's to make sure that there is an ultimate goal in mind. So if it's to say to your teachers, this year we would want, and it's a mutually agreeable plan. So you're suggesting, you're recommending, you're asking the teachers, and the teachers are giving to directors information that this is what I would like to do. This is what I'd like to learn. So if it's for, to finish my CDA in the next year, that's a professional development plan. Yes, the teacher and the director may also agree that they should attend 2 or 3 trainings for the year, but those trainings or those workshops may be just unspecified, 1 hour, 1.5 hour modules, but you want them to have an ultimate goal. So that when they started, they were at one place, but you want to make sure that they get some, to a different place. At the end of the year, that they would have accomplished something and they have something to show for it. The next thing is for directors to model professional behavior to their staff. So one of the things is that we have about, I think 38%, if I remember correctly, are directors that are here and that are participating in this webinar tonight. And we would love for the directors to be able to encourage their teachers. And I know that you're going to say, oh, but I can't, it's 7 o'clock in the evening, I can't force them to attend. However, again, in your professional way and as a part of your business, and say to them, I'm requiring you to do 1 workshop every 3 months, if it's at 7 o'clock in the evening, but it's a part of their professional development plan, and they see you doing the same thing and bringing the information back to them, they will understand that this is something that I should be doing. This is important. It's important for me to learn. It's important for me to grow. It's a commitment, because we have to keep that word in mind, that it's a commitment to moving individuals from one place to the next, and having those same individuals commit themselves to moving from one place to the next. Using professional publications or participate in professional associations. We have the Children's Forum, we have FLACY, we have NACI, we have and the acronyms, the Florida Association for the Education of Young Children, and I'm sure most of you know that. We have the NDCBI, NBC, National Black Child Development Institute. There's so many organizations. There are teachers associations that are out there that we encourage for teachers to participate in. All of them all have a nominal fee. It may be $20 or $25 per year for memberships, but it provides the opportunity for teachers to have different kind of resources, on ongoing trainings. They also can participate in professional development activities such as certificate programs, whatever it is that is going to enhance their practices with the children. And again, as you know, we will continue to say that we're in different times. And so before, a lot of teachers were not able to do their trainings because of the time of the day, but everything is virtual today. And so sometimes it may be a half an hour, it may be a 45-minute, to just take and sit and read something or participate in a webinar, whatever the case may be, is good for teachers. Directors, owners, we're asking you to support staff and colleagues through mentoring, coaching, and leadership. Yes, we have the coaches at the coming from the ELC, but we are also encouraging you to mentor, coach, and provide leadership to your staff. Explore professional development, career pathways, and evaluate according to personal goals and objectives, which is what I alluded to before. Assume responsibility for a personal professional development plan based on the core competencies. The core competencies, if you go to the Children's Forum website, because it's not on the Office of Early Learning website, they are there to be downloaded free of cost so that you will have an idea of what the core competencies were. A few years ago, we were offering the trainings for directors and teachers. However, we're not doing it anymore, but the material is there. There's short booklets, 10 and 12 pages that, will provide you with the core competencies. So in step 2, assess professionalism by completing self-evaluations. In order for you as teachers to know where you are, to know what you want, how you're going to do it, and within what timeline, to be able to evaluate your strengths, your weaknesses, it is important that you are able to do that, and you do that with the help and assistance of your director/owner. Again, this is the owner director to encourage, support, and enable teachers to do that. You go through an evaluation process, and that evaluation process should include a self-assessment. In step 3, to be able to assess personal training needs. It all wraps up into the same thing, is that, but you're getting a step higher. So in step 3, you're assessing your personal needs, training needs, both for your individual staff members and for the center. You're networking with other early care and education professionals. And I know most of you do that because you attend plan meetings, you attend the FLACY or the BASIC meetings, the Florida Child Care, the Family Child Care meetings. There are all those meetings that's out there that we know that you participate in, but we just looking for you at this point to be able to share the information, to be out there so that you can advocate for yourself. A lot of you are members of SACM. I know there are other groups, or that are on social media. So the fact is, as long as there are good professional opportunities for both yourself, your program, and your teachers, we encourage you to do that. Synthesize the current trends and research-based practices in early childhood education into making decisions for your centers. One of the things that we know that the ELC and the state is encouraging currently is CLASS, the Classroom Assessment Scoring System. Many of you have reached out to the ELC to get subscriptions for teachers completing modules. That is available to you, has been available to you for years. So we're asking that you continue to use that modem of learning and professional development for yourself and your staff. Again, in step 3, they're encouraging that directors, owners are modeling professional behavior and activities. Show me if you do. The saying has always been, do as I say, not as I do. But we want for you to say to your teachers, do as I do. You need to go out and you need to, to do self-improvement. Generate and utilize team decision-making strategies. A lot of times, the directors, owners, they know their program, they know what they need to do. And so they just, they go ahead and they act. However, best practices is that you incorporate and you include the staff that's in the center working with the families and working with the children. You include them, you ask their opinions, you get back, you give them feedback as to if you use what their suggestions are, why you use it, and you thank them for giving you. And if there's a reason why you can't use it, you say, I cannot use that suggestion right now. We'll put it in a box and we'll come back to it later. And we're going to facilitate professional development opportunities for others. So that's step 3. We have to go through this a little bit faster because we want to be aware of your time. Step 4, use professional resources to improve practice. Make program decisions based on professional standards. Self-assess your own work as owners, directors, your sources of professional knowledge and early care and education. So just to look at everything that is around you, look at all the professional development opportunities, and you can select 1 or 2. Don't have to attend everything, because I know many of you have been trying to attend everything that we have to, we've been offering. You don't have to attend everything, but you choose what is good for you, you choose what is good for your staff, and you encourage everyone to participate as needed. And in step 5, you continue to validate early care and education as a profession. This is our profession. This is why we're here. We love what we do, and that's why we choose to be here. And so we're not babysitters, and I always have to say this, we're not babysitters. We are teachers, we are practitioners, we are directors, we're business people, we're owners, and so we need to portray that at all times so that people can see and value us just as we value what we do out in the field.
So if there are any questions that you have about the content that just previously followed, I've seen that some of you have been making comments in the chat box, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing out with us some of your questions. And as Gordy and I said, we will try to field as many of them as we can before our presentation concludes this evening. But thank you. Continue to send your questions in. And as we wrap up, we will be sure to get back to those questions and concerns and address as many of them as time permits. Okay.
Thank you, Wendy. So just going to do this quick wrap up. We just have a few more minutes, and there are two activities that we want to do before we close. Education must no longer be regarded only as a matter of teaching children, but as a social question of the highest importance, because it is the one question that concerns all mankind. We need to have intentional, capable professionals within the field of early childhood education. And in order to do that, we have to understand the importance of intentional professional development. And so we ask that as you reflect on what we're doing today and what we have said and what we will continue to say, is that you just work with us, you work with your teachers and your staff to ensure that they are participating and they're growing and learning.
Just checking in. Is anyone else feeling like this? Everybody else in staff development takes notes. They're in professional development webinars, they're in face-to-face trainings or workshops, and they're diligently taking notes, and you're sitting like this, like, really? I think this is the same lady that has been in the profession 5 years. It looks like
I think so.
So she's 5 years in and she's still having her moment of, I don't know if I want to do this. So we just thought we'd throw that in for you, because we know sometimes when we are in a professional development setting or a training setting or a workshop setting, we see people all around us diligently taking notes, and we're like, really? So here's a quote on everybody's doing it. Again, your why. Each day you are leading by example, whether you realize it or not, or whether it's positive or negative, you are influencing those around you. And this is a quote by Rob Liano. And you can take down this YouTube link. It's a little more than 2.5 minutes, so we really don't have time to play it, but we wanted to put the link in for you. It's a really good link to view, but we wanted to read the quote, because once you look at the video, the quote will really gel with what's going on in the video. And it goes back to the slide that we just saw, that everybody around you is doing this one thing, and you're sitting there like, do I want to do that or no? Okay. So if you want that YouTube link, that's the YouTube link to the video that would go to everybody's doing it. It's a great little video clip, but like I said, it runs almost 3 minutes, and we want to be respectful and mindful of your time. Okay. So, and here's another quote for establishing a growth culture. Remember, professional development is about overall growth of an individual. So Andy Fleming writes, everyone every day works on developing themselves, others, and the organization to achieve breakthrough performance and become better version of themselves. So it's a team effort. Although you're working individually, you're doing it for yourself, which will trickle up or down to others and the organization as a whole, with the whole intention of it being that it goes out to the children. we become better versions of ourselves, we become better teachers of ourselves, we perform better, and we can teach our children better. Okay.
So the research says high quality professional development is characterized by sustained, coherent, collaborative, and job embedded learning. In summary, excellence in early childhood programs is built on a workforce that continues to build upon knowledge and skills. It is through professional development that we can build a strong and relevant workforce. Programs, owners, and directors should support staff to ensure that they gain necessary skills, knowledge, and competencies they need to excel in the profession in terms of their job responsibilities and work environment.
Okay. So we hope that, as Gordia summarized what professional development is versus what training is, that we've met our goals and objectives that we laid out at the beginning of our presentation. We hope that you've enjoyed this. And just for fun, we have one more to tickle your funny bone. So just for fun, we know that, of course, you'll remember everything from this year's Teacher in Services and Professional Development. We've been at this for a while now. We've been doing this format of professional development for about 4 or 5 months. And of course, we know that everything that you're learning, you're retaining and remembering. And when we're able to meet up again face to face, you'll be as eager as we are to share your wealth of knowledge, your strategies, everything that you've learned with a big snicker. So again, we hope that you've enjoyed this presentation that Gordia and I put on for you this evening. It was a lot of fun coming up with the information, and we hope that you really did learn one new thing. You allowed yourself the luxury of doing one thing, which could be maybe to laugh or to just learn a new word or a new strategy. Remembering our virtual agreements from at the beginning of our webinar. Whatever it is, we hope that it's something that you can take with you. And when we are able to see each other face to face again, you'll be willing to share with us one thing that you've learned over this course of our time of sharing our knowledge with you and you sharing your knowledge with us. Okay.
We are sorry we are not able, because of time, to answer your questions right now. However, we will definitely look at the questions, concerns that you have put in the questions box, and we will respond to them. We'll put them together and we'll respond to them, and we'll be able to send them out to you by email shortly. So thank you so very much, and we really appreciate spending this time with you.
And this is our contact information. Again, I'm Wendy Gordon, a quality and education coach and specialist for the ELC of Broward. And my email address is wgordon@elcbroward.org.
And I'm Gordia Ross, quality and education coach and specialist, gross@elcbroward.org.
So we thank you once again. Continue to enjoy the rest of your evening, and we hope to see you again soon.
You closing it out, right?
Yes.